There we go. Hell yeah.
There we go. We're looking pretty nice.
Now that we've gotten fully adjusted, Ryan, I do need to tell you.
Yeah,
I do need to tell you that we have
What's up, man?
a surprise guest.
Okay. You springing this on me. I don't know if I'm ready for. We don't have an extra chair. We just spent the last hour setting up these. Okay.
For them.
All right.
Well, the big thing is like there's a portion of D&D that like kind of the unsung hero, you know, of tabletop RPGs.
Chris Perkins.
It's the table.
Oh, nice. It's the top of the table specifically.
The tabletop.
Yeah, very specifically, it's the tabletop. Yeah.
It's the unsung hero of tabletop RPGs, and I hope you enjoyed my sweaty, oily face. I've been running around in the hot,
gross
Dallas, Texas weather, and I'm somehow also managing to touch the other new thing that you'll notice, in addition to the lights, is a stand that we finally have.
Yeah, well, look, our hands are free. For our audio listeners, we're no longer holding the microphones. We now have stands where our microphones are in. Unfortunately, Mike is not holding them.
Rolling past that. I am not a light technician. Ryan probably is, but we are going to be moving to my apartment once we get one more piece of equipment, and then
we're almost there.
Right now, I'm just a very pasty person. It probably looks like that. But anyways,
we've almost got
the
it
table,
set up, man. The table. Okay, back to the
just out of the shot.
Yes, the table
in tabletop RPG.
It's ignored a lot of the times until you have a combat or gotta roll a dice. Actually, you know, when you think about it, everything happens on the table.
Literally everything happens on the table.
You got the DM screen. You got the you put your character sheet on the table. You have your dice on the table. You have your dice jail on the table.
All your hopes and dreams.
Everything lies on top of the table until you're not in person anymore.
That's true.
And the last year, a lot of people haven't been in person. I guess, last year and a half now.
Well, I mean, even for us, we talked about this whenever the pandemic was in full flux. It's kind of coming back a little bit right now. It kind of sucks. But we were online for 2 years.
Yes, but ours was a very unique brand of online where he was the only one online. The rest of us were all in person, and we had the capabilities to mic up the other people, mic myself up, and have a camera for the battle cam for him to see us and see the camera, or the battle map.
So it worked out.
Yeah, it's very different than the majority of people play D&D, or online D&D, that is.
Well, what I will say is for our game, it's mostly theater of the mind.
Chronicles, you mean?
Well, no, for our home game, what we were just referencing. Chronicles too.
I mean, we don't do too much theater of the mind.
I mean, in terms of combat, well,
I guess I use a map a lot.
We don't forget what I said. I guess for Chronicles for the longest time, which is our actual play podcast, we did do it entirely just in our brains. Salty has a lot of ranged stuff and moves this in space, charging. So I decided with the episode that we just recorded, which will be the next two that have come out. So,
the last episode and the one that comes out in 2 days.
That will, for the first episode, they were looking at it, but it wasn't on screen. The second one, we have a bunch of combat in a dungeon. We did use a virtual tabletop that is called VTT, which integrates through Chrome.
You were wrong. It's called AboveVTT.
You're welcome. It should be VTT once Wizards.
I don't know if they can. Well, there is another tabletop simulator thing called Beyond Tabletops. They might not be able to do that. I was
mixing them correctly. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So AboveVTT.
Yes, AboveVTT just came out. It just came out a week or so ago. And is it the best VTT yet?
What I want to say is it's the easiest to jump in and just use.
Especially if you have D&D Beyond.
Yeah, if you have DMD, if you have D&D Beyond,
you can't use it without it, right?
No, it's
on your
D&D
account.
Well, no, if you don't use any of the creature search function or connecting it to all the content that you've already got, and it's got loaded and gridded every map from every D&D Beyond supplement that's in there.
Yes.
If you've got Rime of the Frostman, you can pop in and plug in the cave, the ice cave in there, and it's already gridded out.
Oh,
and ready
really?
For you. Yeah.
I did not know. That's very cool.
So it's got a bunch of stuff there. But the issue with VTTs that I've encountered, and hello, he's Ryan.
Oh, he's Braxton.
And this is the dungeon crawl on virtually.
I do want to say, though, before you get into it, I don't want to break your train of thought, but it feels so weird not holding anything.
I'm very uncomfortable. You can probably tell.
I don't know what to do with my hands, man.
Well, it's silly because we both stream too, and this is, yours is usually out of the way, but this is literally how mine is most of the time. So VTTs,
What is that? Well, first of all, Braxton, what does a VTT stand for?
Yeah, they know. They don't need to know.
Not everyone
It's
knows.
a virtual
tabletop.
Tabletop.
Yeah. So this table right here, this top of this table,
Virtual.
it's virtual.
Everything. So this typically comes if you're playing online and nobody can meet up, and you're like, screw it, scheduling. There's a pandemic outside. Let's just go online.
And it's. I mean, I think the lost it. Keep going.
Are you kidding me? Damn, that had to be the most impressive. This is one of those episodes. It's been a long
we
day.
were talking about the virtual. Okay, I remember. So what I was trying to say is that they come in many shapes and forms.
Yeah.
Some are very lightweight, where there's no rolling, there's no integration of other game sources, and it's literally just a map.
Yeah.
And you can do your tactics through this map. Others like AboveVTT, or even further, like Foundry and Fantasy Grounds, everything is built into that system, into that game. Software, into that software. And you got to pay a fee, or you got to do something. And I guess that's how they're able to get the license, all this stuff. But then that's how you're able to then plug in your character sheet, and you can use and roll your character sheet through the game, through the software.
It's impressive, and it depends on how much of it you want to automate. Some people are on one end of the aspect where they want to put everything that their players don't want to learn and remember into it as if it were a video game to fully automate it. And then where we tend to lie more so is having a virtual battle map, being able to have that tactical aspect of playing Dungeons and Dragons in the combat, being able to do the crunchiness. I'm going to stand exactly a centimeter away from this guy just so I can poke that pixel and hit him. D&D's in 5 foot square.
Flanking and whatnot, yeah.
Flanking is ridiculous. We need to have a short YouTube video on that shit. I think it's crazy. So the issue becomes how much you want to integrate. Sure. So I do want to start with the most useful thing for anybody watching this video right now. If you've gotten this far and you just want to dip out, Ryan probably told me to stop doing that sort of thing. But if you use D&D Beyond, this Above VTT, it is literally you log in with your account. Or you get the extension.
Yeah, it's an extension.
On Chrome or a Chromium-based web app. You log in, everything is set up, and it's literally just the keys and controls are right there. You move it around, you click and drag. You can do Fog of War really easy. It's just click and drag and then click and drag to do it. Different polygon shapes and cuts. There's no weird coding you need to do. You don't need to learn how to do some weird lighting engine like how it is in Roll20. It's so
very lightweight. And I guarantee you could run your session if it was a simple just dungeon where you could probably draw the rooms as you went. You could run it within 10 minutes of prep and also get your players done and ready to go within another 10 to 15 minutes. Not to mention it syncs up with the encounters you've created.
Yes.
Inside D&D Beyond.
That is correct. Well, not yet.
Oh.
So they have and we'll start off with this one, dive into the other ones. Because it was pretty easy to describe what VTTs are, but for AboveVTT.
Well, to be fair, it is the first one in the list because it's an A.
Yeah.
Alphabetically. Yeah. Speaking.
So the encounter builder that is on D&D Beyond is a paid feature right now, and it is in alpha/beta. That does not directly integrate, but you just look at that on the side right now, and then you go in and there's a tab for monsters. You just type it in and whatever content you've got, it shows all of the features there. The encounter builder is literally inside of AboveVTT.
But now what's the problem with this is if you're watching this video man, sounds like I can't use this for Pathfinder. The answer is no, you cannot.
That is correct. It is literally only D&D.
Literally only D&D.
Yeah, you could use it as a battle map for sure.
Yeah, you could use it as a battle map.
As a dungeon crawler, you could.
Sure. But I would argue that if you're going to use it, there's probably better ones to use for just a straight battle map.
I feel like Pathfinder versus D&D, Pathfinder's made way more use of VTTs than D&D Beyond has.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Foundry, we're not really going to talk about it quite yet. I'm going to get into all of them later, but Foundry does have a D&D Beyond connector as well.
Really?
I believe you have to pay for it, or there's a certain mod or extension you got to input, whatever. But it's also can be heavily integrated into your D&D Beyond stuff too. But there's pros and cons to both. We've mentioned that it's easier to run a battle map, it's easier to schedule. For me, maybe we should do a pro and then a con, instead of just shitting on everything. Or loving on it and then shitting on it.
Yeah.
So for me, the first big pro of a VTT is that it is easier to schedule. It is easier. I mean, it's even easier to find games. The very little time I've spent on Roll20, there's this little button that takes you to like all the games that are being ran, all the ones that are like people are hosting. It's almost like casting calls. Like they're saying, hey, do you want to be in this Call of Cthulhu game? Click this button, write up a short little description of who you are, your character, whatever, and then join our Discord, something like that, and then we'll start playing. So it's very easy to hop in, find different games, and they have so many different systems on at least Roll20, but a lot of these different websites have stuff like that. And if not, I'm sure there's a Discord, or maybe you love Foundry or you love Tabletop Simulator, you just picked it up, $20 down the drain. You don't have any friends, but you probably hop into a Discord of theirs, and there's probably people that are running different games. You can hop in and find somebody.
Hell, it's like I guess it's kind of virtual tabletop. The spell table that we were using for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
there's so much stuff that's getting added.
My head went straight to Spelljammer. It's like, dude, I would love to play a Spelljammer right now.
Really? Wait, what is Spelljammer again?
It's a old D&D setting.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess my big pro for virtual tabletops is feeling like I'm in a fucking Fire Emblem game or something, just like seeing everything from the top down, being able to visualize all those doors that Ryan's putting into the dungeon and like remember stuff like that. For me, that's the biggest thing. Is it takes the mental aspect of having to keep track of that in my player brain or my DM brain and puts it on the computer. That's great.
Easily accessible and easily to follow along. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll counteract that with my con is
tap a blue mana, throw it out.
I do want to make sure I specify that this is just our opinions on it. This is not the end all be all how VTTs are.
No, this is the definitive edition.
Okay, because I know we're gonna disagree on stuff. For example, what I'm about to say here, for what he mentioned that he likes the kind of Fire Emblem feel. You can see the whole battlefield and kind of move around. I guess you can do that on an actual
specifically for
too.
Combat.
Right. For me, though, and I agree, for combat, it's great. I love battle maps in our D&D games. It's fun to strategize and stuff, and I want to get some of those different
elevation.
Things that differentiate elevation. Just adds a whole literally an extra dimension to the battlefield. But to me, a con for VTTs is it feels more like a video game and takes away the tabletop RPG aspect for like not even just combat. I mean like the whole shebang. And I'm okay with using it for, just combat here and there. But and I do say here in my notes that it could be a pro for some people. And I think for a lot of people, this is, they love this ease. But for me, it tends to take me out of the immersion of the world. And I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know what, because I'll play a video game and I'll get super immersed into the world. But for some reason, when I'm playing a VTT or even just like thinking about like when I've looked at Roll20 and tried to make maps in there, and I'm like, this is taking me out of the experience. I'd rather just write it out crappily onto my
so what I want to say is I think that's an accessibility thing for you. We're about to get to like petty high school debate club real quick. I think as long as it's just lines drawn on squares, there is no feasible difference from just looking at the same crappily drawn green line and squares. As long as there's like no art or like special minis going on, it's literally just lines and your mini representation. I think that core experience, it is no different other than you're using a mouse and keyboard.
I will counter this point again by, and I hate to drop one of my other cons already, but I think this ties into what we're talking about here is for the same reason why when I'm in class in person, I'm able to pay attention better. When I'm sitting in front of my computer screen in Zoom class, it's so much easier for me not to really, I'll have distractions later, but just not to like feel like I'm in the class, I think
I'm trying to remove the whole like it's on my computer thing and rather just like, because I would use a VTT in person if I could have it on the table.
Yes, yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
That is what I'm trying to isolate and get your opinion on, is the whole act of it being on a computer.
No, I've completely thought about having, I've seen it in like on Reddit. I can't remember what the place is called, like it's like DM setups, whatever.
Yeah. There's just got a thing on the table.
Sick one. Yeah, this really beautiful wooden table in the center of it. They have like a screen, and it's like a touch screen. They can move around like a Roll20 map or something. That I don't mind that at all. That'd be, of course, my minis would kind of be tossed to the side, but
you could, I mean, in theory, you could still put them on top. That's what I enjoy is the ease of use for a virtual battle map, not necessarily the environment of it being on my computer.
I'm going into the idea
I feel much better now
that we're playing online,
I feel much better now about your opinion on that. Not because I thought you were saying, I don't want a computer. I want to, okay, well, there's just, if you like a typewriter, no slight against you. If you use a...
Well, it's the same way that...
I understand that. You've helped me understand.
It's the same way with that MTG thing that we did last night called Spell Table, where to me, and I think it's from so many people, is the love about playing Magic or playing D&D is
being in person.
Yeah, seeing everybody.
100% agree.
And sitting around a table, making jokes, tossing your cards down or rolling your dice.
Pulling a knife out on a guy because he counters your commander or something. I don't know.
Well, maybe not that intense, but watching, someone's face as they roll their final death save. And sure, you can get that same experience online, but it's very different.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm an old soul, and I know a lot of people love the VTT aspects of things. This is just my personal list.
Yeah. We're the generation that people are like, if they'll just like start getting old and unable to do these things now, we can have all the improved things.
Right.
Now, yeah, if I'm trying to isolate it, I love making virtual maps, but being online, I don't like as much.
Oh, 100%.
If we're trying to like find pro and cons and
I think one of the other biggest pros to a VTT is battle maps are so easy to make for the most part. And to look good.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a professional artist to start cracking out some really good.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff. It's not graphic design is my passion, by the way. You should have seen the thumbnails for our anniversary. The episode that's coming for Chronicles, not the one this week of the release of this episode, but the one that'll be coming out. It'll be like our 25th episode.
Yeah, and 2 days from this episode release.
No, not the one this week. The 25th. That was the 24th. Our 25th episode. When that comes out,
we
haven't played it yet. We haven't played it yet.
Oh, what the hell?
We haven't played it yet.
He's so when we something into existence.
Yeah, I'm not saying it yet, but like the rest of the battle map that y'all haven't seen
yet. Gotcha.
There's some like fun stuff that I did on there that I would have had to like go out and buy markers and like do a bunch of stuff, which would be fun. Would be fun, but I have my computer already jumped in. Ease of use, accessibility. That's a pro for me.
It's also easier to. Maybe I'm searching around DeviantArt or Pinterest and I see some cool guy, or maybe you sub to someone on Patreon and you see some really interesting battle map that someone else created. You can just copy paste, drop it into your Roll20 map, drop it into your Foundry. I'll be probably doing Foundry, whatever. You can easily drop it into your maps and boom, there you go.
Yeah, that amazing thing about, I will not stop talking about AboveVTT, the fact that it integrates with all those battle maps, and you can grab anything, host it on Imgur, and plop it in. And it's good to go.
I mean, Foundry's the same way that you can. Roll20 is a lot of them are, but they can they integrate with these adventure modules that already exist. Some even work well with DM's Guild product. Not DM's Guild specifically, but DriveThruRPG, which is like a subsidiary of DM's Guild or vice versa. I don't remember. They all kind of work together. I don't know.
Yeah.
But DriveThruRPG, and so like third-party maps are also can be included into these. It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah. So I guess another big con for me, and it is a pro for some, I would say, is outside of just movement and the basic, virtual tabletop or even just regular tabletop, moving your character around the map and whatnot. It's your abilities and all of that. There's a lot of number crunching sometimes, yeah?
Yeah.
And you may have to spend like an hour or two at home writing it all down on your on your character sheet, maybe back like 20 years ago, or even now if you don't have like a device that can easily host it, your phone's battery sucks ass and you can't rely on it, you have to use paper. DM, I have to do it. So you've got all your stuff written down there. It's taking you some time. And you're new and you're playing your game and you're trying to cast fire. Like, how many D6 is Fireball? I don't know. You could, in a VTT, just click the Fireball button because it's already coded into it.
Have some flashy effect.
Have flashy effect and it just all goes. I love that in a video game. And this is going straight back to what Ryan mentioned just a second ago. But sometimes it can really slow it down.
It can.
If it is not integrated properly. Because a lot of these, Fireball, I guarantee you, in a VTT, if you're playing it, it's geared towards D&D, it's gonna have it. But in the case that it doesn't, it can take as much time as it would for somebody to pull open a player's handbook and figure out and then get going. But there's a lot more moving parts on a VTT, and the whole theory about tools and whatnot. The more parts there are, the more chance there is for it to break. Period. Con on Braxton's list.
I'm with you. I think it with the accessibility of trying to make things more flashy, maybe not even just flashy, but for example, Fantasy Grounds is not very flashy. It's definitely an older program. And we can get into other issues with Fantasy Grounds, but it doesn't have the flashy, crazy effects. It's very easy to kind of see what's going on, but it's the UI, the user interface can be a little cumbersome and a little tough to figure out where to find your stuff. And even with, more recent products like Foundry and whatnot, it can be difficult to find exactly which page has the thing that you're looking for. Where's this particular feat on my item sheet? They're meant to make our lives easier, but it can be sometimes, especially for not even just new players, but new people coming to a VTT, can make it more cumbersome and tougher to use instead of just, hey, player B, can you roll that dice for me?
Yeah. I would say almost exclusively new players and new GMs, because the pro about all of this is once you've got it set up and working and with a group who's used it for a week, probably if you're tech savvy people that are on Discord all the time and you moderate like 5 different servers, I don't know. If it's set up and you guys know how to use it, it's going to be probably faster than in person.
Yeah, I mean, no one's got to drive an hour to get to the session. Maybe it's like spur of the moment. Like, hey, I just got this really cool one shot. Anybody want to play? Like, oh, hell yeah, let's hop in.
Yeah, it's already geared up. You guys have your same hotkeys for your characters that you want to play. We're all good to go. Done. It's like a video game. It takes more prep to plan for all of the variances and things that you can do. There's a lot more time that goes into like mechanizing these things in the virtual space versus online where it's just like, I do the math in my head, roll the dice, let's go.
This might just be my own personal complaint with getting to learn a VTT is, to me, it's taking the work away that I would put into the game into learning the VTT or into integrating my players into the VTT. It's taking the time where that could be, making a really cool encounter into just this one aspect. And for someone who doesn't have that much time anymore, or you gotta really, the lazy DM, the lazy dungeon master, you really gotta be careful with where you're spending your time.
Yeah, that's a whole thing I've been trying to learn right now. Time management and where to allocate that with the VTT. Another
There's some cool TED Talks on time management you can check out.
Oh, man, you can get so distracted. Like, that's why I really enjoy AboveVTT, because it is so bare bones. Like, if you've been on D&D Beyond for any amount of time already, you've already had the wow factor gone. You're just like, okay, here's my fog. Here's how I show the map. Here's how I align the grid. Here's the tokens. You shit them out and they're done. There's like no craziness going on.
And again, like I said this at the beginning, if our opinions contradict with your opinions, then please type in the comments below. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're idiots. Or tell us why you personally enjoy VTTs. Maybe it's the only way that you and your friends can get together. You've moved across country. Now you can all still play on Roll20. And more power to you. I think that's the beauty of the world we live in today. You can still stay connected even though you're miles and miles apart.
I was going to make a weird joke that like you and I were connected by some weird umbilical cord at our feet or something and they just can't see. But I said I wasn't going to say it, and now that I have.
Makes me think of Death Stranding. Lots of umbilical cords and babies.
I need to play that at some point.
It's great, man.
So, do you have any like big pros or big cons? Because we've gone through the major one, because you've got a lot on your list there.
Let's see here.
There's a topic that I want to get to, but it needs to be after that.
Okay, yeah, hold on to your thought.
I won't lose it. I say that, but
we already kind of talked about how I think combat works very well through VTTs. Now, so the last 2 big cons that I have, and I can hear the comments now. I can hear people saying that this is not really a con with VTTs, but with just sitting home and playing over online, regardless of you're using a VTT or not, is it's easy to get distracted.
Yeah.
You can easily, pull out your phone. You can, just like I mentioned, Zoom calls in class or maybe group chats with your businesses, whatever. You can have, your dog might come running in, your partner might come calling you from the other. You got kids running around in the background. Who knows? And this is not a knock against people who don't have the monetary means to buy nice microphones or stuff, but you might not be able to hear Bob because his headset microphone's acting up and you can't understand what he's saying. He's trying to join in the conversation, and it can add to a lot of things. And that's not really a knock on VTT. It's just playing online and period. And then the second one being that as a DM, someone that I try to pride myself on being able to read the atmosphere in the room, seeing different players. Okay, that one's obviously not having a fun time. Let's try to toss something his way here. I tweak things constantly on the fly when we're playing, and I would imagine it'd be so much harder if we were only playing online.
Because it takes more mastery to be able to do it. It's probably possible.
You can't see the body language. You just got to be able to tell from their actions. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know.
RP stuff.
It's tough. It's tough to read. I think even with, let's say you don't have video, that's hard enough. I think even with video, as someone who's done basic counseling online, as like me being a counselor, it's so much harder to be able to read someone's body language, and it's just a whole different ball game whenever you're just straight up online with somebody.
I mean, even like I can't even argue against it, because a big portion of why I moved back to where we are now is so that we could do this in person, because I was in a different state and he's here, and it's so much more fun to record stuff. We are spending more money on equipment, which happens, but it's just because we really enjoy it.
I mean, I can remember specifically the old Critical Role episodes. I can't remember this happening recently either.
Did they ever do it remote?
Yes. Well, not completely remote. One of their players, she's a actress, like in not just a voice actress, but like she goes to like actual like films and whatnot. And so she would be playing from sets, like from across the country, and she would always talk about interviews and their behind the scenes stuff that she felt so left out.
Damn.
You can't really. Sometimes the microphone's acting up, but you can't hear some guys across the room. Or you know how it is when you're on like Discord. If you're talking when someone else is talking, then someone gets cut out and you can't hear the other person, and it can be rough. Yeah, it can be sad too. You feel like you're just not a part of the fun.
But what I will say is believing in the potential or fearing the potential of technology. At some point, whether it's as we're 50 years old or probably even sooner than that, or when we're not even here anymore, because humans. And just life in general, except if you're like a turtle or a crab or something.
Or cockroach.
VR D&D is probably going to be nigh indistinguishable from IRL at some point, or even better. It's just going to be like in totally immersive LARPing at some point. And it's going to happen. So all of the things that we're saying about, the interface of it and the bad videos and bad cameras might just entirely go away at some point. And at that point, let me pause it. Is it even really virtual, or is it real life?
That's like it's like a sci-fi question.
Everything will become Sword Art Online at some point.
It's like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing.
There's some things out there right now. It's just really janky, and they have particular art styles. You might not like that. I don't know. It depends. But I don't want to say that there is no possibility for people to get, in VR chat and get their avatars and be able to read some body language if they've all spent a ton of money on full body tracking and computers that can do all of it. So
it's definitely a monetary cap on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that leads into my next topic of
bring it in now.
How into it do you want to get? How much time and how many resources do you want your VTT to have? So this is where we can get into the different VTTs itself. My penultimate one is Tailspire, and it's at the bottom of your list, so we can get to it there.
Yeah, it's the bottom one on my list.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. But that one is like if you want to make a video game.
Yeah, so getting into the list of different VTTs, I definitely didn't make a comprehensive list. There's some I left out. I just basically kind of picked out some of the ones that I thought were interesting, or some of the ones that I thought had some problems with it, just from a spectator perspective. First one being, obviously, we've talked about AboveVTT. This was 100% free if you have D&D Beyond stuff already going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's still base stuff on D&D Beyond, right? And the only stuff that is there is the monsters, so you probably want the player's handbook.
Yeah, so you have the base SRD stuff. Yeah.
So that's a ton of things. The only other feature is it auto-loading the stuff from the books you own. So I want to do that caveat again. Otherwise, you could just go ham with it.
But yeah, we've talked about that one a good bit. It's very cool, very new, very fresh. Maybe the best new VTT on the market.
Title? Question mark? I don't know.
Then we got Astral Tabletop. This is the one that I mentioned that was kind of integrated through Drive-Thru RPG. It's free, or you can pay $9.99 a month for like some pro features. It seemed interesting. It seemed promising. I never heard of it until I started looking into it.
I haven't heard of it until you just mentioned it.
They got to get some more press there, I guess. Now, Beyond Tabletop is the one you mentioned before. At first, if you go to their website, it looks like a pixel art, and I was like, dude, I am on board. I would love I've never seen a pixelated pixel art VTT. But it's just literally just the website. The game, the software itself is not like that. It actually looks a little janky to me.
They all kind of have a little bit of jank in them.
Fair. But I think it's still very early in development. So it's definitely a lot of potential there. It looks fairly interesting as I start looking at the features and stuff that they want to add. Then we got Fantasy Grounds. So if I were to say the top three, like the big three people hear about would be Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, and then Foundry. So Fantasy Grounds is This is the one that I said was a little older. It's been around the block. It's completely free if someone has the ultimate license, which is $119.
Wow.
Sorry, $149. That's a little more money. Yikes. Or $9.99 a month.
Which is technically infinite money.
Now, it is one time, right? So you could, in theory, split it with your whole group. One guy buys the Ultimate Edition, and the rest of you guys can just play for free.
Well, if you're going to use it for... You can talk about this like, guys, you think we're going to play for over a year and a half-ish? Yeah, right. Then buy it, because it pays for itself.
Now, the other thing is you can also do like a standard license, and this is where you either pay $3.99 a month or $39.99 one time. And this means that you can play forever, but you can't let free people play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the downside. But the other problem with this, so you're already seeing a monetary issue with this. Very expensive.
Well, manpower's gone into it, so I don't want you guys to like shit on these people. Well, pricing is weird. Well,
the other issue is if you go to Steam to Fantasy Grounds, I mean, first of all, you're not wrong. A lot of people work on this, well, yada, yada. But if you go to Fantasy Grounds on Steam, you go to the DLCs, it's in a ridiculous list because you have to buy every single thing you want to use. Every single book, every single module. Yeah, buy, the player's handbook again. I mean, it's insane. And they're not cheap, right? They're not cheap at all.
Some cost fallacy, yada, yada.
It is 100% licensing. I think the benefit to Fantasy Grounds, though, is it's been there for a while, so it's definitely tried and true. It works. It does what it needs to do. It's very easy to click things, and it takes you to where it is in the book, and you can easily find stuff. And it's integrated well with the modules, and there are so many different systems inside Fantasy Grounds. And a lot of people, if you buy DM's Guild products, also create a Fantasy Grounds module for you to just tie into it.
So it is kind of the de facto DM's Guild VTT.
Yes. Well, I mean, not de facto, but a lot of people, like Kobold Press, if you buy some of their stuff, it'll come bundled with a Fantasy Grounds, or you can pay extra for a Fantasy Grounds version of it as well.
See, this dude who's done AboveVTT, if he keeps going, Wizards or D&D Beyond's either going to dick on him and make their own, or they're going to bring him in.
Knowing Watsy, probably dick on him and make their own.
Yeah.
Or they could buy him and buy the product.
It's going to happen, hands down.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Fantasy Grounds has some potential to. I mean, it's worth looking into. Then you got Foundry, which is, like I said, the second, probably one of the big,
I've always heard this is the most daunting one.
I would say so. Yeah, from what I've looked at, very fair pricing module. It's $50. One person has to buy it, the GM, and everyone else can then play for free on their browser. And there's a lot of extensions and modules and different things that you can tie into it. And I've heard a lot of people say that they can get so lost in adding so many different modules.
The Pathfinder game that we're playing in our Discord right now is through Foundry. And our DM, I asked her how to get to the dice and change the colors and whatnot, and that's not even a base thing. So she told me to go to the modules or whatever they're called, add-ons, and she has like probably 30 in there. And it's like looking at a list of somebody's Skyrim mods, man.
Yeah, I think
it's scary.
You can make, you opening doors. There's some that are coming out that add like spell effects and attack effects. And it's very cool, very video game-esque, like we've talked about before, which is either pro and con for some people. In my opinion, this is maybe the best all-in-one VTT.
I would agree, especially with the fact that just the GM needs to buy it, and it can run through your browser.
Yeah, that runs through your browser, and it's very easy to get your character sheet on there. Well,
yeah, I think so. She did it all for us.
Yeah, the fact that's very true. But I mean, like if you just like click it, it's very easy to open it up. Yeah. But I think putting it on there is a little tough. But it's doable, and if once you start getting going, it can be as bare bones or as in depth into the product that you want it to be.
Okay. All right.
Then we got Let's Roll. This one I know very little about. I heard about this one was in Kickstarter a while back, and it's still currently in a private beta. Only people who backed it are able to utilize it currently. But it will be released as an open beta or fully released, I can't tell, in December this year.
Okay. So you know anything else about it?
Not really. I watched the video on it, and it looks cool. It doesn't really stand out to me.
Releases in 2021.
I know. I meant to write December. Okay. December 2021.
Run out of time here.
But nothing really stood out to me. It was like, I can't get this from somewhere else, So I don't know. It's worth keeping an eye on, though, if you're interested in VTTs.
I don't want to shit on Alba Rodeo because
Alba Rodeo's next.
It was the de facto jump in and go.
Free and lightweight is what I wrote.
VTT does that and what it does better.
Because it integrates into D&D Beyond.
No, I would even say just the base things of like click and drag, its fog, putting tokens in, even without all the integration, like just how they have the user interface is better.
I do like though with AboveVTT how easy it is to just hop in. I did it earlier again today, and it's just like, all right, start tossing things down, and I'm ready to go and play. This is for the most bare. This is probably the most bare bones and lightweight VTT out there, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, for AboveVTT, I know I'm circle jerking around it, but
circle jerking.
Yeah, that's what I'm using. To get in, you have to have a campaign set up on D&D Beyond. You have to get into it as the GM. Click join as the GM button. Your players have to have characters in the campaign. They have to go into the campaign setting.
Yeah, I couldn't even find it.
Click and drag to the tab.
Kenneth had to tell me where it was.
Well, you went to your character sheet.
Yes.
You went to the tab, my characters and characters. You have to go to my campaigns and then the campaign you're in. And then at your character, you click the blue button to join. So that's the confusing
part. So I'd say if you like AboveVTT and you're not playing D&D or not integrating D&D Beyond in any way, then definitely check out AboveVTT. Yeah. It's the same idea, just without the D&D Beyond integration. I'd even say I don't know. So the next one is the last. No, we got it. No. This is the last of the big three.
No.
Roll20.
I don't know how this thing still feels like it's like running off of MS Paint or some shit, dude.
So it is free.
Whoa.
But then you can get a upgraded version for $4.99 a month, and you got an even more pro version for $9.99. And those add like more things for your map. Sound effects, I want to say.
If you music. And this is overshooting the description. If you're somebody who is savvy with like coding and is used to, maybe you operate off of Linux, you are generally good at doing these kind of adjacent to what the general populace uses, like the intermediate / expert level computer stuff. You can run around your desktop or Slack or Discord with your keyboard. This is the one for you. There's a bit of a learning curve, but 100%. It takes the most just figuring shit out to do. But the stuff you can do with it, I say the skill ceiling, in as far as just text-based and 2D is concerned, is Roll20 wins. But it's hard to get there.
I'd say if you maybe don't have enough money for which won't make any sense what I'm going to say in a minute. If you don't have enough money for the $50 for Foundry, then you could dive into Roll20 with a smaller subscription and get a similar-esque idea to it.
There's less fluff in Roll20. Foundry is very pretty. User interface is really great. And I'd say it's coming on the up and up, but traditionally over time, Roll20 has been the one where it's just like
it's the monolith. Raw. It's the one everyone knows.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's got the best name.
But it's just the one that I mentioned before that allows you to go in and find games that people are running. It's very easy to type in kind of what games you like. There are so many different modules in there. I guess the other downside is you do have to buy the things you want to play in there.
Yeah.
Which
it's basically what
it makes sense. Licensing.
AboveVTT is going to be for D&D Beyond. Right. If you own stuff on there, it's another library you have to get licensing stuff for.
And someone in the comments could correct me if I am wrong, but I believe Foundry, you don't have to pay for anything because it's not through Foundry. They're all like extensions and mods that people have made on their own time.
Yeah, and especially if you play Pathfinder, Foundry is probably your best bet because they have a partnership with them or something. I don't know.
I think
also Pathfinder just has most of their shit available online to the public. So
right.
My favorite part, if you want your players to be really distracted, you can add a third dimension to things.
What, in Roll20?
No, to like Tabletop Simulator and Tailspire. A third dimension.
Wait, they mentioned those
3D. Yet. We haven't. Well, that's next.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're segueing into 3D. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm trying not to mention my segues anymore, and then somebody else does it for me, so I might as well do it myself.
I got confused. I didn't know where we were.
So, let's start with Tabletop Simulator, because that's where I began, actually.
Yes.
It's not meant for it.
Yeah, so if we're following along,
It's 3D.
It's as if you were in person. It's like where VR might go. It's
you
like
you're play Uno with your friends at a literal virtual table.
It's like you're standing around a table. It's literally a tabletop simulator.
Do you guys have VR headsets? You can get your gloves and pick shit around, move it around.
Flip it.
Oh, and that breaks everybody's CPUs. So don't do that.
But there are so many different modules, so many different mods people made of so many different games. But we're trying to keep it to TTRPGs.
Yeah. So
$20, by the way.
$20. For
everyone has to buy it.
There is a group thing. I think that is the
$49.99. Yeah.
So
for 4 packs.
You can spend a lot of time getting Steam Workshop stuff put in there. People have like entire Strahd campaign built out and minis and whatnot.
Yeah.
Big ass learning curve. It's really fun though. It's got the most tactile interface just because it is not just for tabletop RPGs. It's for tabletop games and everything. So if you're interested, go in. It's probably not the best to run an entire campaign.
Yeah.
Dick around in it for a little bit. Maybe play some Yu-Gi-Oh on there. They have all the cards and whatnot.
I will say, if there are any...
You ran it once.
Yes, yeah. I will say if there are any tabletop games that you are interested in purchasing, like to play with your friends, maybe check it out on Tabletop Simulator first if you own it, because like I said, it's been made by someone as a mod for free. So
Trail
don't go
on
out there,
or whatever, that game?
What's like Gloomhaven, which is $150 out there. Play it in a $20 simulator. See if you like the idea, and then maybe go spend the money.
Yeah, if you're looking for the most one-to-one tabletop experience, this is it. Literally, it's a big old tabletop.
It's a simulator, yeah.
Tailspire, what I will say, is the most ambitious, like 3D design space for tabletop RPGs. Tiles, everything. Imagine you had every tile, every mini you wanted access to, and like creative mode Minecraft. That is what this is.
Yeah, it's like you're building a game.
It's the most
map.
It's the most intuitive 3D design space that I've experienced as of yet. If you're comparing it to Tabletop Simulator, it feels like you've got like two nubs on your arms and you're just like punching things around. And this is like, I actually have fingers and digits and it's not super complicated.
It is important to note though with Tailspire, first of all, $24.99 in early access.
Yeah.
Before we get to everyone has to buy it kind of thing,
that is the downside.
It's not integrated into a specific system.
No.
So
they're trying to make their own, actually.
Yes, they are. So there's no like rolling in there yourself. You got to have your own dice.
They have physical dice for you to roll around and stuff.
It doesn't like add to your character sheet knowing that you're hitting the creature in front of you.
They're working on it though.
But the benefit to that is that you could split this $24.99 4 or 5 ways, and then the DM streams it for everyone on Discord and just utilizes it as a map.
Yep. So I think that's probably why they did do that. And it's the one I had the most fun with, feeling like I was literally making a video game experience.
You were in it for like a whole night.
Yeah, it was literally a whole night, and then I stopped just because it would have been a lot of effort. But I made like a whole sewer map with a slime encounter and these giants who were bathing in them, and it was really cool.
And we got a viewer in our Discord
who loves it.
That posts their Tailspire creations all the time.
It's really cool, and there's a whole lighting system. There's ambient sounds already loaded in there. There's music.
I think this has the most potential.
It has the most potential, and they add content.
It is early access.
The entirety of the Curse of Strahd, 1-to-1 scaled maps, buildings, miniatures, multi-levels is in there.
Damn.
And it's just
Castle
online.
Ravenloft.
And the coolest thing you can do,
it gets better.
Yeah, this is the best part of it, is in order to bring that in, if you wanted to, you don't download anything. You don't have to go into some sketchy place to torrent something. You don't have to build it yourself. You right click, you go highlight some text, and then you right click and you press the copy button on a string of code. You go over to your window where Tailspire is. You click on your mouse where you want this thing to be, and you do Control V, and it pastes the entire thing somebody's made in there, because all the assets are just in the game. So it's going to be a big chunky file when you buy the game. But the fact that you can literally copy and paste an entire immaculate cave system is the coolest part for me. It's like Minecraft seeds, but things are already built in them.
Yeah, you don't have to find specific mods to download, all that crap, all those textures.
The team is doing that.
Yeah, they say it's going to be in early access for about 1.5 years or so. So not too much longer. It came out April 14th.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. The base interface for moving around and controlling things is great. There's support for Fog of War, and if you have one of Strahd's mansion or the manor or whatever you're going into, like the windmill, bone grinder, whatever it is.
Yeah, old bone grinder.
Bone grinder, that's in there. When your players walk in, it will cut off and remove the top layer. Like they can't just sneak in and see what's going on up there by like glitching in their camera. When their mini walks in, it like removes the top view, and you look down, and when they go walk up a step, they finally get there, it'll lower the next floor. So it's got a lot of things to control in terms of, well, we're in a virtual tabletop, but they can just like move over here and see stuff. It's like spoilery. They're trying to address everything. I'm literally just fangirling about above VTT and Tailspire because those are my two favorite, but I think they have the most potential.
Well, that was my list.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are a few others I looked at. They didn't really catch my attention. That's all I'm saying.
I've downloaded a few Patreon ones where I've paid like $1. There's some ambitious ones out there, but none that I would genuinely recommend you getting into. And that's why I'm not saying any of their names, not just because I don't have them on my hand, but it's like they might drop support at any random time. And this is one of those markets. This is the gross corporate side of me because it's what my day job kind of is in that world. The businessy side is that everybody and their mother, brothers, sons, fathers, sisters, daughter is trying to make the next VTT. Because while Roll20 does have it at the moment, there's all these people that are coming up trying to figure out figure things out, what to do. Tabletop RPGs is one of those experiences that has been so hard to virtualize, and it hasn't done it yet. It's like,
I think especially the last year kind of incentivized that. People were like, we want to play online. Roll20 is not doing it for me. Fantasy Rounds, all these other ones aren't doing it for me. So like, hey, there's a market for it now. Yeah.
But the thing I love is it's not one of those let's improve and then get rid of the old way of doing it. It's like a mechanical watch versus a digital. There's a fine art into mechanical watches and the gears, and there's a utility and experience about the digital one. Audio equipment, this mic, the Shure SM7B has been used for years.
It's been around.
Radios are still around and are still a primary form of listening to stuff when you're in your car going around to stuff. Podcasts, just because there's TVs doesn't mean people stop listening to audio only content. Just because there's virtual tabletops doesn't mean traditional in-person tabletop RPGs will ever go away unless we all live in the Matrix.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility. That was a shorter topic, I think.
Yeah, that was a good ending, like speech there, man. I feel
passionate about that.
I felt something going on inside me there.
Yeah, no, I part of my job right now, like my day job, is innovating on the hospitality industry and the experience of being in a hotel. And that's not to say that old hotels will go away. Same whole thing. I was supposed to write an outro, like constructed, but I will try to do this properly so that editing is easy for Ryan to begin with.
It's me.
If you want to join the discussion on whatever the hell is going on right now, you can follow us at Dungeon Crawl Pod on Twitter, Instagram. We're followed by Paizo on all our platforms, which is really cool. So yeah, that's fun. I know it's just a button click for them, but it felt really nice. So if you want to see all the cool collaborations we're doing with Paizo in the future, I'm kidding, it's not gonna happen. If you want to send us an email though and tell me I'm stupid, thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com, you can do that as well. And then in the link tree, we have a Discord server you can join in on one of the Pathfinder games that we're running, the Zelda 5e game that we're doing, any other future games that's coming in.
Yeah, there's a few people out there in the Discord that are looking for some players. So.
If you want to play a game in Tailspire with people, do that. They might run one shots. We actually have a community of people now who want to play things, and I'm so excited about it. So it's what I wanted.
We're here, man. We've made it.
Kinda. We also now have a Patreon. So if you want an easy way to support us, you can jump on there. We've got a few tiers for you. Whatever you're looking, you want some sparkling water, you want some nice little tap water. I don't know. Everything helps us. We got two people up there. Hopefully you're seeing them go across the screen. Thank you to all our patrons at the moment, and especially to our dungeon crawler and above tiers. Squid, still king of the hill.
Our man
right now.
The man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend, Squid. Thank you for supporting us.
Very, very kind.
Very, very kind. That's my shtick.
Yeah. So the last thing I wish to touch on before we end today.
Not the mics, because we don't have to touch them anymore.
Yeah, that is very cool. I mean, the Patreon stuff will help us support, getting some nice, really nice equipment and getting everything set up. But while I was doing my research through the VTTs, it's funny you actually mentioned this earlier about the Matrix. I think I experienced a glitch in the Matrix.
What?
Have you heard of what a glitch in the Matrix is?
I mean, yeah, it's something that makes you realize that you might be in sort of.
Going
it's
on.
like, well, hey,
Yeah, something's happening. So I was looking at the different VTTs, and on one of the pages on one of the websites, I saw this weird little. God, I don't know how to describe it. It was, the typical hacker thing in movies, like the green lines going across the screen.
Literally the Matrix.
Yeah. But I saw a little bit of that in the corner. Just for like a split second. And so I'm thinking to myself, the website's having problems.
Yeah.
Right? And I go about my day. I'm writing my notes. Okay, this VTTs, yada yada. This VTTs, yada yada. I saw it again. This time was a little bit closer. It was like following my mouse around the screen. And so we played like a little game with each other, like trying to catch
cat and mouse. Would you say?
Yeah, very cat and mousey. But I pulled a fast one, and I actually was able to click on it, and it was a clickable link. And this link took me straight to Apple Podcasts.
There it is.
The Dungeon Crawl, our website, our podcast on Apple Podcasts, and it was actually mildly scary because my mouse, on its own accord, went up to the 5 stars, clicked it, went down and wrote, "It's my favorite podcast. I am Commander Ryan. This is my favorite podcast on the internet."
We know.
And it was scary, but I also was heartwarmed.
Yeah, well, if you're going the whole like automation route, a better way to end that, because that's very blue pilled, things doing stuff for you.
Yeah.
You know, the world affects you.
That's what I want, man.
You gotta be based in red pilled. Go on your own accord onto Apple Podcasts right now. Rip out of the matrix. Don't even need a link. Just go there and just type your own comment. That's what you do.
Damn, that's what
based in red pilled.
That's what Fishburne. What's his name?
What?
Willem Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne.
Where's
is that his name?
Going?
No, the guy from The Matrix. The guy that plays the guy that says the blue pill or the red pill. Which one you take?
I'm just kidding.
That's not.
That's
Neo.
That's Neo.
The Matrix. Here it is. Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, that's his name. Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, it's been a while. My brother loves these.
Morpheus. That's the name I was looking for. But yeah, Lawrence Fishburne here.
He's got a good voice.
Yeah, he does.
Those iconic glasses, man. Oh,
what a guy! Look at that smile, dude. What a happy guy.
Look at our smiles.
Look at that.
What a cool dude.
He kind of looks like Captain Kirk.
Hasn't he? Has he been in Star Trek?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's besides the point.
This is our starship. This is our mission control, and he's been Ryan.
You said this already. He's been Braxton.
Did I do it? We're the Dungeon Crawl. Thanks for calling with us. Oh, that's what I was supposed to write. I was supposed to say that with the Patreon. It's okay.
Sorry.
I'll write it for next time. I got a week to do.
Next episode will be a banger as always.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
No, I just pretending like I know what the next episode's gonna be.
Oh. And we're hopefully gonna be moving to a new area soon, so you will have to say goodbye.
Depends on shipping.
To this.
You can just take the Keyblade and put it in my place. I'll take it. I'll take your Persona 5 golden vinyl.
Hey,
that thing is sick nasty.
Back off my
Persona.
Brought that to people already selling that for $200. It's ridiculous.
It looks hot, man.
It is. I mean, it's hot, but
it's hot. Come on. He was playing when I got in here. All right. Enjoy our new lights. Enjoy my pasty, oily face. See you guys next time, maybe at a different spot.
If not, we'll still be here.
Check out Dungeon Chronicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our actual play D&D podcast.
Goodbye.
Peace. Kind of fun.